Welcome to What to Do When, a podcast from real lawyers with real perspective, where we explore a variety of legal issues and scenarios. Each week, we focus on a new topic and discuss what to do when and if any of these legal scenarios ever happen to you or a loved one. With over 40 years of combined legal experience, our hosts offer their unique perspectives and insights on a range of real-life legal situations.
Hi, welcome back to What to Do When, a Dummy's Guide to the Legal Verse podcast here at Critzer, Cardani in Richmond, Virginia. I'm Jackie, and this is Scott.
Hey, what's on the docket for today, Jackie?
Today, we're going to talk about relocating in a custody case after the court has already entered an order. So what to do when there's a move coming after custody's been determined.
And we're not talking about, just so we're clear, we're not talking about the move across town like you hear in the Richmond metro area. You can kind of be in Chesterfield or Richmond, and it's all pretty much Hanover, kind of not a big deal. But always remember, if you're going to move at all, every one of those custody orders says 30 days advance written notice must be provided to the court and to the other party prior to any move.
Absolutely. And if you don't provide 30 days advance written notice of the intent to relocate with the new address, it is a violation of an order, which we'll talk about in another podcast where we talk about enforcement orders, or enforcement actions. But you shall, if there is an order in place, you have to give the other party and the court notice that you're intending to move.
And what we're talking about today is pretty much a big move where the other party's visitation is going to be, or other party's time with the child, parenting time is the new word,
right,
is going to be affected by the move itself.
So situation where parents both live in the Richmond area, maybe they have some sort of a shared schedule, or maybe it's not even necessarily a shared schedule. Maybe it's an every other weekend plus dinner visits sort of schedule. But to whatever degree, the other parent is regularly involved with the parenting decisions and visitation and all of that. And then the parent who has the majority of the custody wants to move. They want to relocate. What do we need to look at first?
And let me say one other thing. Usually this is around a job.
Usually.
Or orders if you're in the military or something like that. Normally that's what happens. Sometimes it's just a whim. But the first consideration has to always be, as far as the court's concerned, and if you're going to go to the court to do this, the first concern is the best interest of the child, not you.
So your move for a better paying job doesn't really count?
Yeah. Even if, quite frankly, even if you're going to get paid 10 times what you were paid here, and you get to move, say, to Texas, and you got the best job, your dream job, it's the best thing that's ever happened to you, you're going to be able to buy the home of your dream, the car of your dream, your child's going to be able to go to private school, all those things, it has to come down to what's in the child's best interest.
And one of the factors, there are 10, right? The court looks at 10 different factors when determining the best interest of the child. But when you walk into court and you say, "Oh, but I have a great job offer, and of course I'm going to take it, and I'm going to take the child with me," and the court says, "Well, that's not even the first step in the analysis. The first question is it in your child's best interest?" So the court is really going to analyze the relationship between the child and each parent at this point and figure out if and how a move, really by either parent, is going to impact the parenting time secondarily to the child's impact.
Yeah, and it doesn't even matter, and a lot of people get this wrong. Say I am every other weekend dad. That's all I see him is every other weekend. I don't even do the Wednesday visitation. We tend to think as the primary custodian, that doesn't matter. I should be able to move. He's only just losing 26 visits a year. Big
Right.
deal. It matters. It matters to the court. Let's put it that way.
So really the best way to handle it is to come up with a solution, or at least try to. The other parent might not receive it well, but sometimes we try to work towards solutions that sound a lot like, okay, well, I'm going to move far enough away that weekend visits don't make sense. And so let's do, extended holiday visits, and let's maybe change custody in the summertime where the one parent then has the child or children for the summer instead of every other weekend during the school year. But there are ways to be creative, and that's certainly something that the court's going to try to do. But in our experience, you and the other parent are going to be more creative and probably more satisfied with the solution you come up with than the solution the court comes up with.
Yeah, that's why we're talking about compromise. Sometimes in these situations, the best rule of thumb is figuring out a way that you can compromise to accomplish what you want to accomplish without basically saying to the other party, screw you,
Right.
or too bad for you, or however vernacular you use. But basically that's what the court's looking at. And sometimes these can totally be worked out between the parties. The court doesn't have to be involved in the analysis at all. Just say, for instance, Jackie wants to move and she comes to me and says, hey, I got to move to Texas. My orders just came in from the military. I would like to go. I would have to go, and I would like to take Bobby with me. And I'm being the nice, benevolent guy. I say, sure, how can we work that out? And her and I work out an agreement. I get the summers. I'm happy with that. And we get an extended holiday over the Christmas time or something like that.
Sure.
So it's not so broken up, spring break. And Jackie graciously says, and I'll pay to transport him out here. I'll get him here to you. That can work out, and the parties we see that all the time where parties just work it out. I would suggest if you work something out like that, you do put it in the form of an order so it's there, it's written, and everybody has to agree to it. I wouldn't just willy-nilly do that, but it's really easy to get it. You can come to us and say, hey, we've already work this out. Can you draft a consent order, put it in the court? And the courts routinely sign consent orders.
Sure. Well, and the court is going to be reluctant to take significant time away from a parent who wants to be involved unless there's some reason the parent ought not be involved. We're really not talking about acts of abuse or a history of abuse. We're not really talking about, but that person drinks and does drugs and why can't I move? We're talking about these, like Scott said, run-of-the-mill, and they are, believe it or not, a lot of people move, right? Just because you live in the Richmond area or in Virginia now doesn't mean that's where you want to stay. And a lot of people have family outside of the Commonwealth of Virginia. And that is the reason I hear a lot from other folks is that it's not necessarily a job, it's that their support system is outside of Virginia. They moved here for their spouse. That relationship is deteriorated. Either they broke up or divorced or in the process of divorcing. Maybe they never married, but they did end up having a child or children, and they maybe are the lower earner. And so leaving their lower income job is not a big deal in comparison to being close to their support system, their family and friends that they've known a lot longer than the folks they've known here in Virginia. So while they would have a support system and that would benefit them, like a higher paying job typically is going to benefit a child, those are still more benefits for the parent than they are for the child. But it all sort of goes into a bowl together. But who's the right person to make that analysis?
This is why, we at Critzer Cardani want to sit down with you and talk to you about your individual situation, because your individual facts, your individual circumstances, and the circumstances around your life matter. And in crafting the right kind of either compromise or petition to the court and all those things really matter, knowing the detail, having someone listen to you. One thing we always say, if somebody on a relocation case, you go to an attorney, say, this is no problem, we'll just file a motion with the court, you'll get it, no problem.
Slam dunk.
You should be scared. You should be very afraid, because it's not ever a slam dunk. Unless you already have an agreement to the other side, then it's a slam dunk. But that's the rarity, and having somebody look at your circumstances. And one of the things I wanted to say again is, this sounds so weird, but say I'm the primary custodian. I'm in the Navy, and I'm here stationed in this area, or I'm at Fort Lee, and I get orders, and I have to go to Hawaii. And I'm like thinking, well, of course Johnny's come with me. He's lived with me since he's been born. That's not the analysis. And it seems wrong in some respects, especially to our, mothers really get like that. When mothers have had custody the whole time, like, well, he's always been with me. Why would he ever? We have to realize that it's not that simple. Just because your boss said you had to move or your country said you had to move doesn't mean the child gets to move with you. The court's not going to stop you from moving.
Right.
But they may not allow you to take the child. And that's the thing that we really have to walk through, talk through, and figure out a plan. And in doing that, one of the things I always tell people, the circumstance that Jackie just reiterated, say it is about family and structure and support systems and all that, you can turn that into a best interest of the child analysis.
Sure you can.
You can say, my child doesn't have to be in daycare anymore. My mother's going to take care of him. That's a benefit to both parents, because he doesn't have to pay as much in child support. Because as you know, in child support, that factor of daycare comes into the calculation and raises child support. Sorry. there's all these factors, but it may be a more secure environment. Maybe here you're living on the street corner trying to make ends meet, and now you have a place to live. Grandma has a 7-bedroom home, and you get 2 bedrooms in the downstairs apartment and all those things.
Right.
That's definitely in Johnny's best interest to have a stable home and
Yes.
a roof over his head and all those things. So our point is this. Come talk to us, sit down. It may seem at first like it's either a slam dunk or it may seem like at first that it's an impossible hurdle, and neither may be true. You need to sit down with somebody who does this for a living, who will be honest with you and walk you through the process and come up with the best possible solution or the best possible plan to try or to attempt to get that custody transferred.
Absolutely. So what happens if you do move? Does that mean that the court order then goes with you to the new place? That's perhaps another topic for a different podcast. But be on the lookout for it. So where the order is from and how to get it moved and where is it enforceable, really an important concept that we'll address in another podcast. 3 takeaways.
3 takeaways. Best interest of the child matters in relocation cases.
You're going to compromise in a relocation case. You're going to compromise, the other side's going to compromise, and walking into the case with the understanding that compromise is a part of the narrative is important.
And finally, finding the right lawyer, somebody who's going to listen to your situation and craft something that uniquely benefits you is so important.
Thanks for listening today. Be sure and like and subscribe and tune into our next podcast.
Thank you very much.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of What to Do When. For more episodes, be sure to subscribe to our podcast, and we encourage you to check our archives to listen to previous topics. Tune in next week for a new episode and some fresh perspective from Critzer, Cardani.